Sebastian Imo stood in the opulent lobby of the Hotel Presidential. The grandeur of the surroundings contrasted sharply with his internal turmoil. His family had recently returned to England, leaving him to manage the El Guarcha Health Center alone. Determined to maintain a brave facade, Seb accepted an invitation to lunch from Chief Nboli, a prominent yet notoriously corrupt politician. The chief had insisted on introducing Seb to influential figures, promising connections that could ease his professional challenges. Seated at an exclusive table, Seb observed Chief Nboli's charismatic interactions with various guests. The chief's ability to tap into people's concerns and offer tailored solutions was both impressive and unsettling. Despite his reservations about the chief's ethics, Seb recognized the potential benefits of these introductions for his work at the health center. Chief Nboli led Seb to a distinguished woman adorned in a striking ensemble. Dr. Imo, meet Barrister Mrs. Igala, our Minister of Women's Affairs and chairperson of our party's women's wing, he introduced. Seb felt a mix of awe and intimidation. He had never been in such close proximity to a figure of her stature. "We're very impressed with your work at the health center," Mrs. Igala began warmly. "The chief speaks highly of you. We need more dedicated professionals like you returning from the diaspora to serve our nation." Seb nodded appreciatively. "I have several proposals that could enhance our healthcare system, including legislative changes and initiatives involving top government officials." Mrs. Igala's eyes sparkled with interest. "We would be delighted to review your proposals. Please bring them to Abuja. Healthcare is always a pivotal election issue." Chief Nboli scanning the room, a hint of concern in his voice. "We were expecting Alhaji Igala to be here," he said, turning to Mrs. Igala. She sighs with a trace of frustration. "Since he did not get the party's nomination for the presidency, I don't think his mind is in this our party any longer." Chief Nboli raises an eyebrow. "You don't think he would decamp to another party?" "I don't know, Chief. He lives in Kano and I live in Abuja. Moreover, I'm a minister in this government, and he's not," Mrs. Igala replied, shrugging slightly. Chief Nboli's PA approaches him, holding multiple mobile phones, one pressed to his ear. "It's the governor, sir," his personal assistant whispers to him. Chief Nboli's eyes widen, quickly stands. "We are fine, sir. Your boys are working hard, sir. We are hungry and hope you send us something, sir." He walks briskly to the balcony to continue the call. Back at the table, Mrs. Igala turns her attention to Seb, who is sipping his drink. Mrs. Igala is curious. "Why did you not want to work in a private hospital like others?" She sips her orange juice. Seb smiles warmly. "I wanted to work where my service was needed most, in the rural area." Mrs. Igala raises an eyebrow. "Really? Did nobody tell you that you make more money working in private practice in this country?" Seb nods. "Yes, I was told many times. But money is not everything. There are people with so much money, yet not happy. I chose to work at the health center. It gives me greater joy and satisfaction. I lived in England for a while with my first husband. We were young and traveled the world, all paid for by the government during the oil boom. We were welcomed and waved through immigration at Heathrow Airport. My daughter is over there at the university." Mrs. Igala said, as she reaches into her handbag, retrieves a card, and hands it to Seb. He accepts the card politely. "Thank you, madam." Mrs. Igala smiles. "I hear your family has gone back. You must miss them. Call me anytime if you need anything at all. Come over to Abuja. It is almost like London. You could have fun. I could introduce you to very important people in the government." Seb nods thoughtfully. "Sure, I would like that." Seb thinks about the changes he wants to suggest to the current medical council legislations. Mrs. Igala leans back. With a knowing look, she said, "This is Nigeria, not Britain. You have been out of the country for too long. We would teach you how things are done here. It's a country where anything is possible when you know the right people." Chief Nboli returns to the table. He said to Mrs. Igala, "Amira, let's go into the hall. There are issues the governor wants us to discuss with other executive members." Chief Nboli turns to Seb. "My PA will look after you." Seb stands respectfully. "Thank you very much, madam. It was a pleasure meeting you." Mrs. Igala smiles warmly. Seb points to his glass. "I shall be going home soon after I have finished this beer." As they left, Seb sat down to reflect. The day's events had opened doors to opportunities he hadn't anticipated. Aligning with figures like Chief Nboli and Mrs. Igala could significantly impact his ability to effect change. However, the ethical dilemmas of associating with such individuals weighed heavily on his conscience. Determined to navigate this complex landscape with integrity, Seb resolved to pursue his initiatives, hoping to bring meaningful improvements to the healthcare system without compromising his principles.